Hi, and welcome to Simply Happy Conversations. I'm Narelle King, and in this Simply Happy Conversation favourite tips series, Simone, an occupational therapist and nutritionalist, shares tips around how our language can influence children's decisions about food. To listen to the full conversation, head to episode 14 or check out the recording on YouTube. Let's jump into this Simply Happy guest conversation. Welcome to Simply Happy Conversations. I'm Narelle King, wellness and organisational coach and yin and nidra yoga instructor. This podcast will help you create more time using organisational strategies so that you can start to simplify your life and prioritise your health. I'll be sharing conversations with other health and organisational experts and solo episodes with tips to help you simplify your life and prioritise your health. So maybe also then talk about the language and how we can use positive language in our home.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it would really build on, Fleur from your previous podcast had some wonderful language swaps, and I thought I'd do a bit of a shout out to anyone who hasn't caught that podcast of yours, because it really made me go, yes, okay, I like what she's saying, because it definitely is in alignment with what I talk about a lot. And a lot of what I do is really about how do we change our language so that we're helping our children feel like they belong at mealtimes, rather than I want my child to fit in with what I thought we were going to be doing. And feeding isn't about fitting into a mold or fitting into someone else's expectations. I think we've got to remember the whole point of eating is to fill up our body and nourish ourselves, and it comes from within. It's not an external thing that comes from outside of us. And that's what I love about responsive feeding and the way I approach it. It is I work with the children to reconnect with them so that they know how to, approach a new food and feel confident that if they don't like it, it's okay to spit it out, or it's okay to have an experience with it without, pressuring themselves or feeling pressure from other people, because that external pressure is what can get in the way of just being naturally curious and taking on a bit of a learning mindset. So some of the language ideas I have really tune into that. And I suppose a couple of the ones I have today that I thought we'd talk about is taking away some of those negative sentences at the mealtime. So if you're about to say, don't throw your broccoli, or no, don't do that. The no's and the don'ts are definitely the difficult parts, I suppose, in feeding, because they come from probably your childhood, and they're coming out of your mouth before you really recognise that they're coming out. So one language swap I have for that is, instead of saying no's or don't, say you can, and then finish the sentence. So I just trained myself that instead of saying no or don't, say you can, and then work out what I actually wanted them to do.
That's a great one.
Keep the broccoli on the tray over there if you don't want it close to you. You can spit your broccoli into the napkin, rather than whatever was going to happen. So giving a nice little you can instruction can help you with avoiding the negatives. And the benefit of that is you've given them a really specific instruction. They can't say, if I said, don't jump on the couch, but I'm in the middle of jumping on the couch and I'm getting that lovely vestibular input, and I'm loving this proprioception and all of the feelings and that sensory release that I'm getting from jumping on the couch. And then you say, don't do it. I'm like, no, but I feel great. It's like, oh, you can go and jump on the trampoline outside would be so much more specific, and I know what you want me to do, and I'm still going to get that feeling if I do that thing. So I think if we change around from the no's and the don'ts to the you can, it helps in parenting anyway, but especially around food, because we want them to know what to do with food. We don't want them to know what not to do, because the list of what not to do is excessive. We're really eating can be brought down to smaller tasks that are easier for them to follow.
Yeah, that's perfect. I love it. I need a poster of that in our kitchen, I think. You can.
And then I suppose another few things that I thought of is I also do a bit of the yum and the yuck words. I hate saying them because they're both the Y words in my vocabulary, but there's something that I've sort of brought my kids up, and something that was instilled in me was not to yuck someone else's food, because that's putting your external pressure on it. But it also goes the other other way. If I'm saying yum, 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 yum to someone who genuinely doesn't like that food, it really is another form of pressure. So I think I always talk about the yumming and the yucking of food can really confuse kids. They're very literal. So if we're putting a lot of these subjective terms in their heads, it can get quite confusing for them. So I keep to tangible ideas. If I want to talk about food and I can't bite my tongue and I need to say something, I'll say, wow, that broccoli is really bright green today, rather than anything about my subjective experience of it. Yeah. You know, obviously I am a big believer of no food talk at the table is better than any food talk. But I know that some people grew up with a lot of food talk around them and they're going to find that habit really difficult to break. So sometimes having that nice gentle step to moving towards a you can phrase or a, what can I say about that food that isn't putting my opinion onto the person, you know, keeping it tangible will really help. Oh, that has a big smell.
Yes.
Garlic, rather than, I don't like that smell. You know, you can imagine that feeling you get from that.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much for joining me for today's Simply Happy conversation. If you enjoyed this episode, then I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a review. This helps others find it who are also looking for tips and organisational strategies to simplify their life and prioritise their health. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe so that you won't miss future episodes. You can also connect with me over at simplyhappy.com.au.